Into every generation, podcasters are born. Two guys in all the world, chosen ones. They alone will wield the strength and skill to discuss the vampires, demons, and the forces of darkness, to lament the spread of their evil and the swell of their number. This is the Untitled Buffy Project. Welcome to the third episode of the Untitled Buffy Project. This week we're looking at The Harsh Light of Day, which is the third episode from the fourth season, written by Jana Spenson, directed by James Conner. In this episode, we see the return of Spike, a very old vampire who has killed at least two Slayers and has returned to Sunnydale for at least the second time to try and kill Buffy. He's returned with a girl from their high school named Harmony, who's just as annoying as she's ever been, and also at the same time in this episode, Buffy decides to return to the dating pool for the first time since Angel left. All right, Carter, Spike is back.
Spoilers!
I already gave it away.
I like Spike a lot.
I do too, and we're only going to like him more and more as the season and then even the rest of the show goes on.
In the first episode, I said that something that bothered me was that it took so long for Xander to come back. By the time we got to this one, I'm like, oh man, I really missed Spike.
Spike became, I don't know what their plan with him was entering this season, but he became a breakout character. And there's a reason coming up, not in this episode, a couple more down the road, you'll see why he becomes a little bit of comic relief and like a more sympathetic character for us.
Well, in season 2, in the episode, so one of the earlier episodes, they do this tease. You think that the anointed one, that little punk kid, is going to be like the big bad, and he's going to take over the clan. And then they bring in this guy, Spike, played by James Marsters. He was only supposed to be in a single episode, and they just loved him and thought that he was amazing, and Joss turned him into a whole thing.
And he's one of their California actors who does a pretty decent English accent.
It's fine. You can tell.
You can tell that he's, especially when he's in the same room with Anthony Stewart Head. You're like, okay, that's not authentic.
I'm going to tell a little short story here about a Roman senator. Cato, the elder, in all of his public speeches during the lead up to the Second Punic War, would end every single one of them with the phrase, Delenda est Carthago, which means, and by the way, Carthage must be destroyed. Mm-hmm. He could be talking about anything, oh, we really need to update the temples in the Forum, and by the way, Carthage must be destroyed.
Let us not forget.
Carthage must be destroyed. I think that every single one of these episodes, if I don't say it, you should just think that I said, oh, and by the way, Giles is my favorite character.
Good.
I'll find the Latin for that.
Okay. Ask Giles for the Gaelic. He'll probably be able to supply that.
Well, we'll talk about that next week, next episode.
Okay, so the other character who reappears, who I forgot to mention in my little spiel of catching you up on characters, was Anyanka. Anya is this girl who was a demon who was, I guess she was like a demon for a day in one of their episodes earlier, and they, instead of just destroying her or whatever, they decided to just convert her to mortal. And they did that, and then she was a little bit sad and lonely because she was a vengeance demon who would just have relationships with men and then kill them. And so they invited her to the prom, and Xander took her.
She's also, what's the word? A robot.
A robot?
She's not a human. She doesn't have human emotions.
She's been this vengeance demon for hundreds or thousands of years, so she clearly has no. She's basically autistic. She has no social constructs of any kind.
Yeah, and it shows. So this episode starts out at the Bronze, and they still go to the Bronze.
Yeah, they go to the Bronze for a very long time. This show has that weird, even when this is 1999, we're headed into the 2000s, but even after that, it still has this 90s feel about it. They go to the Bronze, and there's music playing, and you're like, what is this silly alts indie rock that we're listening to? But it's going to be like that for the entire rest of the show.
Yeah.
Joss likes weird music, I guess.
And when they go there, Willow and Buffy have this conversation that every 19-year-old has about, whether it's to do with sex or jobs or whatever. It's, I'm a grown up now, and you're not a grown up.
That's the way you feel.
You feel it's like, you know what? I think what Willow says is, "Look, you're both grown-ups now," and it's like, no, you're not. You're growing up, and this episode is all about people, really just Buffy, not her partner in this. People thinking that they're grown up and then realizing that no, they have a lot of growing up to do. Buffy has a lot of growing up to do, and Joss apparently decided to stretch it out over many episodes.
Right.
So,
the audience was so like into the Buffy and Angel idea in the last several seasons that I think they wanted to stretch out the rebound and recovery for her.
Yeah, and the Buffy Angel thing was very sort of like high art gothic romance in some ways,
Yes.
like I think
both those actors came from soap operas, and I think that their romance just perfectly demonstrates their background.
Yes, no, totally. And it was overly dramatic, and for good reasons. And then I think it was in some ways smart to like have Buffy start having sort of everyday human,
right?
Literally
human. She started with a romance that could not be like a love that was cursed by fate, and then she has to step back and like date some prick in college who just wants a one night stand.
Right, and this is I think one of the reasons, I mean, whatever, I'm not an expert, obviously, but I think one of the reasons why Joss and the team wanted to do this was this is one of the few areas where Buffy is very vulnerable.
Totally.
And they wanted to show that. Buffy's very, very vulnerable when it comes to romance because she has no control. And this is like devastating to her. So we better talk about what we're talking about. I know you sort of gave a rundown already, but she has met this guy named Parker.
He's a real winner, this guy.
I knew right away that not in the previous episode where he's introduced, but he didn't you? Is it just me? Am I crazy? Couldn't you tell that he was just a user?
I'm pretty sure in a later episode, Buffy surmises that she knew as much when she went on a date with him.
I know. I was like, how is Buffy not getting?
No,
that?
I think she knew. She just didn't want to believe it or whatever.
Well, he puts the moves on her, and
He's very slick. He's got a good line.
My biggest concern is like, is his dad really dead?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm so, it's like, I'm so emotionally scarred since my dad died a year ago. It's okay. It's okay. I can talk about it now, but it's like, did your dad really die? Are you really making up the fact that if he made up the fact that his dad died, I hope he comes back in a later season and gets as a vampire.
He gets turned into a zombie or something.
Right. So that's I really don't know how to classify the A and the B plot in this episode. I would say that the romance is the A plot, and the B plot,
it's kind of like they went for a theme because we have three different couples who are obviously not. None of them are healthy couples.
Right. Anya comes back because she feels like she needs to couple with Xander for some reason.
Because she doesn't know what else to do. She's spent so much time in the game.
Well, she also has this great line. It's like, why do we have these interlocking bodies if we don't interlock them? Joss line. I'm sure that he didn't write it, but who wrote this episode? You mentioned who wrote this episode.
Jane Espenson. But Joss always crawls over it and adds punches up here and there.
Yeah, I mean, that is very Joss line. So that's just like a separate side plot going on. We've got this A plot with Buffy and Parker, and then the B plot where we get Spike introduced, who is dating Harmony.
Right, and Harmony, again, just some high school... she's exactly like she appears in this episode when she was in high school, except now she's a vampire. She's
like the stupidest blonde you've ever met. Also, I got this weird... So the episode opens with... Buffy deciding that she's going to, she's interested in Parker, and Willow kind of motivating that. But I know you don't watch How I Met Your Mother, but there's sort of, I'm getting like, early vibes of the Allison Hannigan that's going to be in How I Met Your Mother. She's very manipulative in How I Met Your Mother and like setting people up, and like she's kind of like a chess player. And I kind of see that a little in Willow. in like these interactions, and I certainly didn't see that in the early episodes. She leaves the bronze and she runs into Harmony, who apparently is a vampire. They're sort of like they had a very unusual conversation. It just seems very strange. Maybe it was because I didn't know Harmony at that time. I have not seen her in Buffy before.
I freaked out a little bit when she bit Willow. I was like, oh, I didn't remember that she actually bit her.
I know, I read that. I have that in my notes, and I'm like, oh my god. I actually wondered if this was a dream.
Oh yeah, but no, just one of those shocks before the title.
Right.
But I guess she was okay because she's not a vampire now.
Yeah, she. They go to Buffy has taken Parker back to her dorm, and Oz and Willow show up, and what does Willow say? She's like, we ran into some
angry puppy
friends. Angry puppy.
Puppy.
Yeah, angry puppy, which is code for angel, right? And
yeah.
So Spike is running some sort of mining operation.
Yeah, Spike spends a lot of time in crypts, which apparently are all over Sunnydale for some reason. Didn't you know that California is just pitted with these underground layers?
So much so that if you dig around in these crypts, that it causes the sinkholes to cave in.
Right. Yeah. Spike's down in a crypt, and he's digging, and he's looking for the gem of Amara.
Right, which is sort of a vampire holy grail.
Right, and Giles is like, it doesn't exist. Of course, it's just made up. Something vampires tell their vampire children.
Right, exactly. But Spike clearly thinks that this is real.
Well, he's had a lead,
and he's after this.
He figured out that it is in Sunnydale.
Yeah, and then he does something confusing to me. He goes to a party where Buffy and Parker are because Harmony
wants a night out.
Why?
You never take me anywhere.
He made it incredibly clear that he does not want anyone to know that he's in Sunnydale. Why did he go to a big giant college party?
Because he's in an unhealthy relationship. I think they're just drawing it out. They're showing how bad these relationships make people behave and how stupid it makes their decision-making process.
Yeah. Well,
he walked right into the worst possible place he could have gone.
Yeah. And in my notes, I have explicitly written down that Harmony needs to have the shut-up gun that you mentioned on 5 Things used on her. She's just like a total ditz. She's not stupid. She knows.
Oh, she's not that stupid. No way.
No, she knows exactly what she's doing. That's the kind of person. That's the kind of user that she and Parker are very similar.
I think she is the high school girl who, when high school ended, she looked around and all of the friends that she had were gone, and she was like, "Where are all the people who used to worship me in high school?" And she couldn't find one, so she went looking for something else and found vampirism. And It's not working out the way she hoped it would. She thought she'd be a queen.
So Buffy sleeps with Parker. That happened.
Yeah.
And there is a very it is a very similar morning that she has to when she slept with Angel. Empty bed.
Right.
Parker comes back and he's got coffee and he's so nice and oh my goodness, maybe Buffy has found true love.
Ah, finally. It only took 4 seasons.
Sidebar. Willow didn't get to sleep with anyone in this episode, guys. Why didn't she just get to have a nice night with Oz?
Because they're in a different... They're at that point in the relationship where you just sleep. I made a note that their talk when they woke up and had a little talk in bed, I was like, this never happens. Couples do not wake up and have a nice snuggly little 5-minute conversation right in each other's faces. This does not happen.
No.
You wake up and you're like, ugh, I gotta get off, and then someone stumbles to the bathroom, and this is not real life.
This is not real life. And it is so much so not real life that we're going to get dramatic fallout from these three relationships: the Spike Harmony relationship, the Xander Anya, and the Buffy Parker. So Parker says that he'll call.
Ow.
The classic.
That's that's not good.
I'll call you. I'll call you, Buffy.
And this is 99, so this is not like I'll text you or I'll Facebook you. This is like I'll call you on your dorm room phone.
Right. And the showrunners make a big deal of Buffy constantly checking her messages. And she gets really excited when she has a new message, and it's like
it's just
mom.
It's Willow like, did Parker call yet?
Right, yeah.
You're not helping.
So Parker never calls. And eventually Buffy sees him playing the same game that he played with her with another girl. Loser.
He's just that guy.
And she asked the question, the perennial question that this type of girl asks: did I do something wrong?
And he's like, did you not understand what we were doing?
He says, like, didn't you have fun? She's like, yeah. It's like, what more were you looking for? And she just gets, not unlike the way that she is crushed by the professor in the media studies class in the first episode, she is devastated by this because she just doesn't understand.
She wants love eternal.
And as if she didn't have enough problems with abandonment,
right?
She gets this thrown in her face. Like, her father left her. How many times has Angel left her, both like literally and metaphorically?
Right.
And now this. Ugh. I feel so. I mean, I keep bringing this back to How I Met Your Mother, but there's this great episode in the 6th or 7th season where Katy Perry is in it, and Allison Hannigan refers to her as an "oh honey girl." She's the type of girl where after everything she says, you just go, "Oh, honey." This is one of the ways that Buffy is an "oh honey girl." Like, oh,
it's
honey.
Just this one specific arena she just doesn't have a handle on.
Yeah, and I don't know that they've maybe I haven't looked at these episodes closely enough, but I think that Buffy, her slang is a lot like a high school activity or something that you've done before that's familiar and comfortable for you that you fall back to when you're in college.
Yes.
Like, I think that's pretty clear.
Whenever she doesn't know what to do with herself, she goes patrolling. She's
right.
like, I'll go kill something.
Right, and she gets to do that, and oh my goodness, it's like this episode just keeps building up. It was very good writing. She encounters Spike, and Spike now has this gem of Amara, which makes him invisible and able to be out in the light.
I love the way that they found this thing. They enter the crypt, him and Harmony, and he's like, here it is, this beautiful thing, and Harmony's like playing with her. She's like, can I have this? And he's like, take whatever you want, I don't care. And he walks over to her because she's pissing him off, and he stabs her, and nothing happens. And he's like, what the? And he realizes that she's got the gem of Amara, and he snatches it from her. She's like, hey.
I believe the specific line she said is, can I steal stuff?
Can I steal? Isn't that what we're here to do? So now he's got it.
He's got the gem of Amara. So here's Buffy, just in the doldrums. I don't know that she's had her like fallout conversation with Parker at this point, but here, she encounters Spike. She doesn't think Spike is around, and she wants to slay him, and she can't. And
it's the middle of the day, which
in the middle of the day,
yeah, something is clearly off here.
Her whole world has just been upended, and she tries to slay Spike, and she can't. And then he taunts her.
Oh man, and he goes after her with. He pulls up the Parker thing because somehow he's been around long enough to know about that. He pulls up Angel. He's going for blood.
Bringing up Angel is what eventually causes her to just freak out, and she gathers the strength to actually beat him.
And snatch that little ring. Because it is just a ring.
It's just a ring. Somehow he knows exactly what to say to Buffy to like make her crazy. I mean, he says like, "You did something wrong." And the whole thing was like, she was wondering like, "Did I do something wrong?" He's like, "Yeah, you did something wrong." So she gets the ring, and he flees to the sewers like vampires do in Sunnydale. Apparently, there are sewer entrances everywhere.
They go to all those catacombs that are under there, I guess.
She takes the ring back to Giles and the crew, and she says, I forget exactly how it
They
goes
say
down,
they
but,
have to destroy it because it seems like that would be the obvious choice. And of course, she wants it to go somewhere else.
She wants it to go to Los Angeles, and Oz says, "Yeah, my band has a gig down there. I'll take it down for you." And Xander, being an idiot, says, "What's in Los Angeles?" And Willow says, "Buffy's giving the ring to Angel. Don't make a big deal out of it."
And then, of course, if you were watching this in '99 and you watched Angel immediately afterward, Oz shows up and gives the ring to Angel.
I'm almost a little sad that we're not watching both of those shows.
I know, but it's just too intense, right?
It's too much. It's too much.